This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. You're tuned into the TCSF podcast with Big Z, coming straight from the 606 Media Studios, powered by true Chicago sports fans. And this is episode 280, and we're fired up to give you everything that makes Chicago great, which is our Chicago sports teams. Remember, 606 Media is your ultimate source for all things Chicago. Don't forget to swing by 606media.com to snag your official TCSF podcast t-shirt or check out our exclusive For the Love of Sports merchandise line. Show off your Chicago pride. If you're watching on, what do we got today? We got Facebook, we got YouTube, we got Twitch, and it'll be on Spotify and Apple afterwards. Go ahead and check us out right there. Subscribe, make sure you get the notifications, and give us a 5-star review or some kind words on the comment section. Join in on the comments. If you're looking more ways to get involved, support the show with the monthly subscription at anchor.fm/True Chicago Sports Fans. For as little as 99 cents a month, you can keep the conversation going. And like I said, if you're already at 606media.com, go ahead and check out the rest of the shows and podcasts. In Podcated with myself, we deep dive into fascinating stories with engaging discussions and insightful interviews. I should know that by heart already. And then you can also go out to No Water on the Weekend with Steven and Sean. They just posted a new episode this weekend. You can check out all their pop culture podcasts serving funny trivia, film, and TV music, and all the latest goofy stuff that they want to talk about. But go ahead and check out those other shows. So let's strap it in, get ready for an unforgettable ride through the best of Chicago sports, culture, and beyond. Let's get started. Sunday Night Football in Santa Clara turned out into a shootout, and while the Bears came up short, it was one of the most revealing games of the season. Chicago falls 42-38 to the San Francisco 49ers, but make no mistake, this was not a step backwards. The Bears scored early and often and from everywhere. TJ Edwards opens the game with a pick six on the first play, and that's how the defense came out. Caleb Williams throws for over 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And in prime time on the road against a Super Bowl caliber roster, this is the growth we've been talking about. Burden had a breakout moment, 130 receiving, and left early with a quad injury. He definitely just made a statement that he is going to be 1 or 2 next year. Swift punched in 2 rushing touchdowns, continuing one of the most consistent seasons of his career. Let's be honest, the Bears had a chance to win the game in regulation, just didn't finish. They didn't execute within the last 5 yards, missed an opportunity late. It's one of those things where you're seeing that this team is still looking for growth, and every week there's growth, and this was one of these measuring sticks going up against a perennial Super Bowl caliber team. JC, what was your impressions of the game?
I mean, you got to give it to the Bears. I mean, they came out and played really well. Other than that interception, I mean, the 49ers are just such a good team. Like, even though their defense is not that good this year, I mean, they're just a fantastic team and well coached all the way around. They got rid of Bosa in the offseason and everything like that. So, yeah, their pass rush is not as good as it used to be. They're missing their best linebacker, things of that nature for the 49ers. But, I mean, the Bears, the better thing for us is that the Bears hung with them the entire game. And this is one of the things like we've been talking about for weeks is, when we go against these good teams, it's a matter of, can the Bears quarter after quarter after quarter put points on the board? Where, like I said, when we went against the Green Bay Packers, we didn't put points on the board till the 4th quarter. Right. And it's one of those, when you're going against these teams in the playoffs, they may only score 7 points a quarter, but at the end of the game, that equals up to almost 30 points a game. So it's one of those where the Bears cannot wait to the 4th quarter to put points on the board. That said, I mean, Caleb statistically, I mean, eye-wise, looked absolutely fantastic. He had some of his wide receivers back, which helped him astronomically. However, we still have some slight issues, in my opinion, of his escape. Where he rolls out all the time instead of moving up in the pocket, moving, up and to the right, up and to the left. It's a constant roll out and backwards. And then it makes his throws harder. When you're moving backwards or you're moving laterally, it just makes your throws harder than, on like the last play of the game. He had an opportunity to move up into the right in the pocket. There was wide open grass up and to the right. Instead, he rolled out and to the left, like he tends to do. And then, he kind of does this where he floats backwards 5, 6, 7 yards and tries to use his arm strength to just push the ball. But as you're floating backwards, that accuracy is not going to be very good. So it's little minute things that, again, this is year one of the Ben Johnson offense, year one of Caleb in Ben Johnson's offense. You know what? This to me was the game I've been looking for like weeks and months, right? He put points on the board consistently, and I am not going to bash him at all for that.
There's nothing to bash about. I mean, he was 25 for 42 for 330 with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a rating of 100. I mean, obviously the accuracy will get better as he gets more accustomed to the Ben Johnson offense, and he cleans up his footwork, and like you said, that rolling out to the left and then drifting, and then he's throwing off his back foot and it's floating.
Yeah, off platform throws.
Right. Again, that was the same throw he did for the Packer game, and we saw what happened with that time where he just wasn't able to get enough into it. If he gets enough into that throw, it would have been a touchdown. And he even admitted to it. He's like, "Yeah, I made a bad throw. I grounded it." He's like, "I haven't seen the film yet, but I grounded it." So again, the kid's taking responsibility on triumphs and all the losses. He was 5 for 18 running. Again, I felt like they went away from the running game in the first half. They did end up with 92 yards on 17 carries between Swift and Manungai, with Swift getting 2 touchdowns. I think he has 9 for the season. So I think he got over 1,000 for the yards for the season. So Swift having a quiet, fun year. Manungai showing that he can be the bruiser of the two. But I mean, for me, the highlight or the guys that really stood out were Luther Burden, 8 for 138 with a touchdown, long pass of 35, and Colston Loveland, 6 for 94, also 1 touchdown and a long pass of 36 yards. I mean, those two guys were studs yesterday in a game where DJ Moore showed up, but he's been dealing with, I guess, a flu virus that's been going around in Chicago. A lot of people have been sick with it. And then this guy flew in by himself out. Who was it? Darnell Wright was dealing with it all weekend, and then he flew himself out to the game because he was listed out, and he ended up playing and had a very good game for us. The Austin, what was it, Booker, who tipped it, or who was that tipped the ball in the beginning, and then it went over to TJ Edwards.
I thought it was Jalen Johnson, but I could be wrong.
It was Jalen Johnson. Yes, it was Jalen Johnson. Yeah, it was Jalen Johnson. And then TJ Edwards took it to the house, and that's a great way to start the game, and everyone was super hyped. But this was the first NFL game where it was tied at 7, 14, 21, 28, 35 before the 49ers took the lead. And obviously they ended up winning the game, but it was a back and forth game. And it was one of those games where back in the day, 5 years ago, no chance in hell we put up these points. No chance in hell we can get in the ring with this, in this heavyweight fight and go blow to blow with one of these teams. Yes, did they have a lot of injuries? So did we. We were missing a lot of people. Rome was out. DJ was kind of a non-factor. All right. There's other guys that were out, and we mentioned them in the pregame yesterday, but it was a great game. And while it's a loss, it doesn't really sting that much after winning in the North. So you already know you're going into the playoffs, and it doesn't sting as much because you're like, this was the test to see where you're at in the levels of the NFL. Can we hang out with the big boys? And we did. We put 38. Now, the defense needs to be way better. Giving up 42 points is unacceptable in the playoffs because you're going to be playing, it looks like, Green Bay. If we beat the Lions, we play Green Bay. If we lose to the Lions, and then there's other scenarios, right? We might end up either playing the Rams or Seattle or San Francisco. There's like every scenario to play anybody.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, obviously, letting Christian McCaffrey 23 rushes for 140 yards with an average of 6 yards per rush with a long of 41, that's not going to get it done. I mean, we've been hyping on this for 2 or 3 weeks now that the Bears defensive line needs help. We drafted a rookie this season who unfortunately is on IR. Grady Jarrett, Billings, Dexter, these guys, they're not getting it done. And it's unfortunate to say that. I know Billings is going to be a free agent in the offseason. I do not see us re-signing him unless it's on a very team-friendly deal. Which, I mean, he's kind of on a team-friendly deal now. I mean, I think he's getting paid like $3 million a year. But he's 30 years old. We don't hear about him like we used to 3 or 4 years ago, constantly from, the broadcasters talking about him being a disruptor. They might talk about him once a game that he made a decent play. It's just unfortunate. I've kind of said that, it's going to be, for me, it's going to be all defensive trenches in this coming draft and defense. Because, looking at what we're losing in the offseason, there's potential CJ Gardner-Johnson, Brisker, Byard, Nahshon Wright. We're talking, Billings and a bunch of those like defensive guys as well. So our whole secondary could be, piece made and need like almost complete replacing. It's going to be rough in the offseason.
And I don't want to get ahead. I don't want to get into that because we're still enjoying the regular season and what's going to be a playoff run in year one of Ben Johnson. But there is some smoke in Las Vegas with Max Crosby, who wanted to play out. The Raiders want to tank and get the number one pick and get the quarterback. Then once they sent him home, they put him on IR with a season-ending injury, and then he shot a video of him in his own gym jumping and taking jump shots. So obviously there's a disconnect there, and he just signed $106.5 million extension in March of this year. That's going to take him through 2029, and 91.5 is guaranteed. How can we get this guy?
I don't know that you can, because I mean, I don't think the Raiders are going to. I don't think the Raiders are going to give him up. I mean, he is a fantastic edge rusher, and what it's going to take to get him, I don't know that we have to give it. I mean, unless you're going to move DJ Moore, like what are you going to give up other than first round picks and second round picks? What are you going to give up? Because are you going to give up who? Like,
it's going to have to be a package with DJ Moore. You're going to have to give them an offensive player, or get rid of some money as well. And DJ Moore would be that casualty. And then was it two first rounds, 2 second rounds? Is that what it would take, JC? You're the fantasy football guy.
I mean, for me, it would take probably our first. Well, I mean, what did we give up to get? Yeah. Probably 2 firsts, DJ Moore, and probably a third or fourth. Like it's gonna be a big package. I mean, because he's under contract. I'd have to look up what his contract is.
Well, it's 106.5 total value.
No, but I'm
91.
saying length. How many years?
He'll be done in 2029 through the 2029 season.
Okay, so you'd have him for 3 years. 3 years of team control.
For 35 million a year.
Which again, 35 million a year as the salary cap goes up is nothing. It's
right.
However, the problem is where the Bears are in salary cap hell as it is, with all the guys that they have signed. Unfortunately, the problem is that we signed Grady Jarrett to a $20 million contract. He is not panning out as a $20 million a year player. We signed Deo to an 18 or $20 million contract. He is not worth it. So there's $40 million that could have went to Max Crosby that we spent on lesser talent, older talent that is showing decline rather than showing the same and or equal production as they have been.
Deo doesn't even show up.
That's the one thing the Patriots were always very good at, is getting rid of players before they fell off. And unfortunately, a lot of times the Bears are the team that pick people up when they've fallen off. And Poles especially has been guilty of this multiple times in picking up, whether it be, quarterbacks or whatever that are poor contracts, and then we are in salary cap hill. But let's get back to the San Francisco game, because we're talking about future stuff. We're talking about potential whatever. But I mean, I text my guys, during the game. I go, can we stop talking about Brock Purdy as a system quarterback, as a quote unquote game manager? Like he's the dude, and San Francisco has a quarterback that, once again, we keep talking about the team itself, right? No Brandon Ayuk. They're running with Ricky Pearsall, Greg Jennings, and that's about it in the way of their wide receiver.
Is that old man Greg Jennings? Old man Greg Jennings?
No, I'm sorry, Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings.
Oh, okay. Okay, whoa.
But when you go look at their team, it's Jake Tonjes, who's a backup tight end, Juszczyk, who is your halfback, who is your fullback, and like all the other guys. We know what Christian McCaffrey is, right? Like, we know Christian McCaffrey is freaking outstanding and fantastic.
Yep.
But when you go look at the rest of their team, it's a bunch of guys who you go, they're not more talented than DJ Moore. Like, Rome is more talented. Like, Komet should be better than Jake Tonjes. But it's one of those where their offense put up points, and you got to give them credit that, Brock Purdy went 24 for 33, had a 72% completion percentage for 303 yards and 5 touchdowns. Yeah, he threw a very unfortunate pick six, the very first play of the game. And then what did he do the rest of the game? That dude balled out.
The next drive, he went straight down. Yep. The next drive, he went straight down and scored on us very easily. It was like a hot knife through butter. And the problem is that the Bears struggle with quarterbacks that are mobile, right? You seen it with when they played Jesus, why am I blanking? When they played Baltimore, when they had the backup over there, right? You see with Brock Purdy, you see the inconsistencies of getting to the quarterback, the inability to put pressure on a guy like that, like Brock Purdy, or a upper level quarterback that you will be playing in the playoffs. They will pick you apart because they know you're playing that bend and no break kind of defense. And guess what? You can't be depending on those lucky bounces that we've been getting throughout the season. And I
Yeah.
know, and I just talked about it in the pregame yesterday. I said that we've got to have at least 2 takeaways, minimum of 2 takeaways in order for us to be in the game. We had one early, and then nothing happened after that.
Yeah, so I was on X earlier today, and the Bears were the first team to go for like 300 plus yards with I forget how many touchdowns with et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they're the only team to have lost. So it was the only team to not give up to have a takeaway, to not give up a takeaway, to have X amount of yards, X amount of touchdowns, the 35 points and whatever, but they are the only team to have ever lost with all of those factors on their side.
I'm going to tell you why they lost. Time of possession. You don't run the ball. Again, I know it was a shootout game, but if you don't run the ball and take the ball out of Brock Purdy's hand and Christian McCaffrey's hands, then they have it more. 7-minute difference. That's one. The other thing was third down efficiency. They're 50%. That needs to be cleaned up. That needs to be at 80%. They were 70% on third down and 100% on fourth down efficiency with 4 for 4. But there's no way in hell that if you give all these other quarterbacks that we're playing, let's say Sam Darnold, if you give him time without putting pressure on him, he can pick you apart. Who's over there in LA? They're playing right now, ain't they? Who's the quarterback in LA? Matthew Stafford. Oh, man. Yeah, Stafford, he's a genius. He can pick you apart.
Yep.
If you're going to
let's
play.
be honest, Stafford is having an MVP season.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you have he can pick you apart if there's no pressure. He can literally do whatever he wants. And they have a great team in LA. So it's not going to be easy in the playoffs if they continue to not have or be able to scheme something up on defense to put more pressure on a quarterback, or you're going to have to shut down their number 1 receiver and try to say, hey, you know what? Let their number 2 receiver try to beat us, or their tight end, because you're going to have to shut down somebody. Because if you looked at
do you shut down Puka Nacua, or do you shut down Devontae Adams? Take your poison pill.
I'm gonna shut down Devontae Adams, because then they have to throw, and then I have more confidence in Jalen Johnson and Nathan Wright than I do in.
I'm just telling you, Puka Nacua will tear you a new asshole.
Well, it is what it is. Somebody's got to beat you, right?
Like 200 yards last week and like 11 receptions. And that was without Devontae in the game.
Well, McCaffrey had what? 180. Where is he at?
McCaffrey had 130 or 140 yards rushing.
140 rushing and 41 on receiving.
Yep.
I mean, that's 200 yards almost right there. And that's what ended up killing you. So, again, this needs to be cleaned up on defense. Giving up 42 points is not going to be sustainable going forward into the playoffs. You're going to have to play better football on defense. I know we're missing a lot of players, but,
I mean, really what let's be honest, what really killed them was Brock Purdy's escapability, but not only did he escape, he escapes and goes forward. So he picks up positive yardage no matter what, where unfortunately, Caleb, when he scrambles, he tends to go backwards and lose yardage, and then ends up either throwing it away or, making a not so great, decision in throwing a short pass so
that's his immaturity. That's big game hunting. He wants the big yardage, and he's going to learn as he goes into next year and going forward not to. I mean, I don't want to take his aggressive.
You have to check out the private chat for 1 second.
Oh my God, what's going on in the private chat? Oh wow. Oh wow.
I'm sorry. I saw that.
He's having technical difficulties. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but all right. Yeah, I don't want to take Caleb's aggressiveness away from him because that does make him great, especially when he doesn't have to think and he does the 2 minute, drill. He's great at that. But at the same time, understand that if I get a first down, I don't have to waste the timeout later on, and that's what ended up costing them. Right? They had no timeouts.
Yeah.
Right? They had no
I
time
also
to play
think,
with.
I mean, the last series before overtime, I mean, the pitch play to Monangai, poor decision. Um, just little things here and there, and it could be play calling, it could be, whatever. Again, the pitch play, no yardage. Like it's you gotta get some positive yards on those situations where instead of being 3rd and 9, you're 3rd and 4, at the goal line where you have a chance and opportunity to
Yeah.
punch it in with the run game. So it's one of those where, look, it was fantastic to see the Bears go against the 49ers. And to me, like, that was the performance by the offense I've been looking for all season. If Caleb and the offense can hum like that and put a little more rushing on the books, if Swift can be closer to that 80 to 90 yard and Monangai closer to the 50 yards, I'm thrilled. Luther Burden, 8 for 138 and a touchdown. That is what I've been looking for. Like, I am looking for someone to be the quote unquote number 1 target. Colson Loveland getting 6 catches for 94 yards. Perfect. That is your number 2. All right. But then it's like you look down the rest of the roster and it's like, okay, who's that? Like, because technically a wide receiver 3 should be showing up there with like 4 receptions. And it's kind of like all over the place of like, who do we trust? I understand DJ has been dealing with flu. It looks like they finally benched OZ in favor of Jade Walker. But, it's one of those where, we got to keep putting those type of performances together, in my opinion. Like I said, you go look at the other side at the 49ers, and like I said, you got Tonjes, who's the tight end. He had 7, so he is basically in that game. He is your Luther Burden. Then you had Ricky Pearsall, 5 for 85. I wish I don't have a thing here that shows like how many targets the guys got. But he had 5 for 85. So there's your wide receiver number 2. Christian McCaffrey, 4 for 41. There's your wide receiver 3, which, let's be honest, Christian McCaffrey is that good of a receiver. He is going to be your number 3 on an offense.
And Christian McCaffrey had 6 targets. He caught 4 of them. Juwan Jennings had 4 targets. He caught 2 of them. Jake Tongas had 9 targets and caught 7. Ricky Parcell 8 and caught 5.
Yeah.
So he was spreading the ball around, and they were running the ball. So you got to take a page out of their playbook and their strategy on how to play at a high offensive game. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
You run the ball, and then you use your wide receivers in different stages and spread the ball around. And the thing is that we have 2 really good tight ends that can catch. They only had 1 last night, so I'm not mad. I'm not mad. It's one of those things that we know we're a good team now. So this is a good loss. It doesn't taste that bad because it's like, all right, they are way better. We're in our first year. We're still developing. I'm like, the arrow's pointing up for us. We're playing with house money. We've got to learn to be able to stop them and put some points up, which they did. They put up points. They didn't shy away from putting points in the first half. They had 21. Did they give up a drive at the end? They did, and that was the deciding factor in losing. Right, those extra 7 points. So
yeah, we can all be honest. We can all be honest and say the Bears team Some weeks the defense gives it up. Some weeks it's the offense looks very stagnant and like nothing's going on. To me, again, this was the best overall performance by the offense by far this year. And I think that Green Bay game and what happened gave Caleb the confidence he needed to come out and put a game like this together. And I hope this shows Ben Johnson and shows Caleb, hey, we're ready to roll now. Like the offense, it doesn't matter who's out there. We can put 38, 35 points on the board, right? Now the problem is that the Bears defense, while we have been fantastic in takeaways, we are not the Bears of Briggs and Urlacher and Peanut Tillman, where, I mean, we were just shutting guys down, where, we are the number one pass rush or rush defense in the league. Like we are just giving up way too much in the run game. We watched that Packers game and we just watched where it didn't matter if it was, whoever it was Wilson or whoever the running back was, they were falling forward for 6 or 8 yards almost every single rush. So it's one of those where we know, like, look, we're in the playoffs. I'm very happy we're in the playoffs. We'll see. I mean, with putting 35 points on the game, that tells me, look, we can go into games and we can now hang in with anybody we face. Where in the past, couple weeks where you're only putting 14 points, 17 points, like that's not going to get it done in the playoffs, especially against some of these teams that, if you want to go up against like Seattle and the Rams and some of these teams that, are just firing on all cylinders. 14 points, 13 points is not going to get it done with the defense that we have. So I'm not trying to be that guy saying like, oh, we're not going to win a playoff game. Like we're we should be happy that we even made the playoffs. I'm not trying to say that, but what I am saying is, look, it's year one. The outcome that we have had is above and beyond what I expected. For year one to go from worst to first and make the playoffs is, again, I know other teams have done it this year. Jacksonville Jaguars have done it. Seattle has done it. So that's 3 teams this year that have, flipped the script with new head coaches. But I got to give it to the Bears. And again, looking forward to the offseason, what do we need? We need some corners to replace potential corners. We need a safety potentially to replace Brisker. We need, defensive tackles that are going to be run stuffers. And,
yeah,
we need to increase the defense. Because now with the offense rolling, if we can put a defense together with that, then we are looking at a championship team.
Yeah, it is. It is going to be. But I mean, we talked about this off air that this is it's a weird year in the NFL where everybody's in it. Everybody that has a winning record right now is in it, and it has the ability to get into the playoffs and get into and going for a run and going all the way to the Super Bowl. It's kind of like our league.
I mean, look, how would you like to be a Buffalo Bills fan right now? I mean, you got Josh Allen, who's MVP almost year after year, and you got a wide receiver in Keon Coleman, which I can't tell you what's going on. He's in the doghouse in that franchise, and they're hoping they got to go play the Ravens and hope they can win. Or is that the Steelers? But It might be the
Ravens and
Steelers.
Ravens and Steelers are playing each other. The Bills, I believe, are playing. Let me see what they're playing. Oh, the Jets. They got the Jets at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So that should be a win, right? So they'll be 12-5. The Patriots at 13-3. The Steelers and Ravens, they're playing each other for the division. They can't get a wild card. And then you got the Jaguars and the Texans, 12-4 and 11-5. So it's going to come down to the last week as well. You got the Broncos and Chargers, 13-3, 11-5. Like, there's a lot of teams at the top. There's at least two that can make it. And then on the NFC side, the Eagles might be a playoff opponent. The Packers most likely will be our opponent if we take care of business this next Sunday at 3:25 against the Lions. The Panthers and the Bucks. I mean, I don't even know what to say about these two teams. They're both 500. Then you got Seattle, the 49ers, and the Rams, all three teams in the NFC West vying for either the division or wild card spot. So it's going to be a wild week next week. I also looking at Caleb needs what is it? 275 yards
I think it's
to hit the 4,000 mark
ish.
Yeah, to get the 4,000 mark. Yeah. So again, there's a lot of stuff.
It's doable, but the Lions have not been playing very well this season. But I mean, they still have a great pass rush. I mean, they still got Aiden Hutchinson, who's an animal. But can we put 270 on the Lions? I think we can. I mean,
they're out of it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think the Lions are not going to come to try and play spoiler, you are dead wrong. Especially Dan Campbell is going to try and take somebody's kneecap. Oh wow, Rams fell to third in their own division.
Yeah, Oof. That's what I'm saying.
Although technically they're playing tonight, so that might change.
Well, they're down 14-0 against the Atlanta Falcons. So
really,
yep. It's I'm telling you, the NFL's wide open right now. So it is what it is.
Atlanta.
Atlanta came out to play, and they came out to play spoiler again. So they Bears play 3:25. So they play that the America's game on Sunday. On Wednesday, we will reveal where we'll be at. We've been at Casa Humilde the last couple of weeks, and we've had a great time there. It was a jam-packed house, standing room only. It was great. It was great. Great game to watch there, and everyone was really, really into it. And big shout out to Casa Humilde for letting us be there and becoming part of their family. So yeah, and then we've got offers to go to all these other places. So I got to figure out what fits us the best, and we'll make an announcement on Wednesday where we will be. But right now, let's take a quick break, and on the flip side of the break, we'll do the Madhouse on Madison Report, and we'll talk about our Chicago Bears and Chicago Blackhawks. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Hey there, Chicago enthusiasts. Are you ready to take your fandom to the next level? The True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast has got you covered with some serious cool merch that screams Chicago pride. From cozy sweaters to trendy tank tops, we got it all. Show off your love for the city with our iconic red, white, and blue logo, or stand out with our exclusive collection for the love of sports. Whether you're lounging at home, breaking a sweat at the gym, or cheering on your team at a game, our gear is a must-have for all you diehard Chicago sports fans out there. Don't hesitate. Visit bonfire.com/store/606-media-store/, or simply just click the link in the description and snag your gear ASAP. Get ready to make some noise, show your pride, and embrace the Chicago spirit with True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast merch. Designed for you, the ultimate fan, for the love of sports.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to No War on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z.
True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast. It's myself, Big Z, and we got JC, Dynasty Fantasy Football in the house. Ivan is having technical difficulties and will not be on this week. He was ready to talk some football, but just is not going to be able to tonight. But let's take care of the Madhouse on Madison Report. The Chicago Bulls the enigma of the Chicago Bulls winning 5 straight to start off the season and then crapping down their leg. And then they win 5 straight again, and they just lost this past Saturday to the Bucks. And then it was a little bit controversial because at the last couple of seconds, Giannis goes over and does a windmill dunk. And, the veterans on the Bulls teams took exception to that. Giannis' reaction was like, you know what? We played to the end of the clock. I don't see what the big problem is. If I got to get my guys fired up, I got to get my guys fired up because at the end of the day, if we don't win, I won't be here. So was there truth that the Bulls said no to Giannis? Is that what's sparking that little animosity? I don't know. I really don't know. And I actually, to be honest with you, I don't think the Bulls could comprehend on how to pull off a good trade like that to get Giannis without gutting the entire future. And I just don't think they have the pieces for it anyways. And I don't think Milwaukee would do that to give it to a neighboring contender. For me, I feel like it's just all bullshit. So right now they're playing the Timberwolves and it's 55-53 Timberwolves. And then, it's the NBA. No one really cares until the fourth quarter. You really don't. You watch the beginning. Yeah. Well, you watch the intro, then you watch the last 2 minutes. And then you're like, all right, cool. That's all I need. And then, no one watches really till the playoffs. And that's the thing is the NFL stepped on all over the NBA by taking over Christmas. Because that used to be the NBA's official push off for the season that these are the good teams and we're going to feature them. And the NFL is like, well, we're going to take over that. We're going to take over Black Friday. We're going to take over Saturdays. The NFL just takes over everything. They're just Galactus, just eating worlds.
I mean, let's be honest. The NBA is not doing itself any favors. I mean, I love seeing that, there are teams winning championships right now like OKC and whoever. But the years of LeBron with Miami and then going to the Lakers and all this nonsense, and then Durant going to the Golden State Warriors. I'm sorry, it did the NBA no good, because when there's super teams in a league that look, it doesn't matter what they do in the regular season. Once this team makes it to the playoffs, they're going to crush everyone, right? And at that point, it makes everything meaningless. And that's the problem I have with the NBA right now is that, there are too many teams that are, and you know what? I understand a lot of these players are aging out as well. When we look at Chris Paul and LeBron and Anthony Davis and all these guys who are aging out, and you kind of look around, and other than Wembanyama, it's like, who's a superstar now? Who's the next guy up that I'm supposed to be so excited to watch and paid money to go see? And I couldn't
I couldn't answer that right now just because there's a lot of guys that are I would say A- tier. SGA from OKC. I think Giddey is a must watch. If you look at New York, they got a couple players over there, but it's either a super team or nobody's on that team, and that's the disparity in the NBA is what's really hurting you. And just like to your point, back in the 90s and late 90s and early 2000s, you had a lot of the teams, I would say 2/3 of the team had 2 to 3 superstars on that team that were either drafted or, we signed someone else from somewhere, after their contract ended, but to join, be the third piece. It wasn't like, hey, we got 5 good players, let's add a 6th good player.
People can sit there and say that, the Bulls did it with Rodman. Rodman was not a scorer. He was a rebounder.
Was a cherry on the top. Yeah, it was a rebounder and defensive specialist.
Yeah, he was. You know what I mean? Like the Bulls had Scotty and Michael, And then everybody else, like Kukoc and Kerr and all those guys were
Harper,
role
yeah.
players.
Yes.
You know, and look, I'm not trying to disparage those guys. Look, Kerr got the job done. Luke Longley got the job done. We won championships, right? But it was
Yep.
Scotty and Michael. And those two were drafted to the team. They didn't collude in the offseason and be like, hey, buddy, elbow. Like, you want to join my team? No, they didn't do that shit. Michael actually said, he's like, I want to face the best. I don't want to play with the best. I want to face the best. And that's the problem in the NBA today is that, you know, because of what LeBron did in Miami, now it's like all these players look at it as the only way we can win is if we team up together and create, you know, the Avengers, you know, of basketball and, you know, go against Thanos and, you know, whatever. Like, there's no good rhyme or reason, and I think it has really hurt the NBA. Like, not only that, it's the way and style of play nowadays where it's just like there's no defense. We run down the court, shoot up a three, and then before the ball even hits the rim, like our team's running back the other way.
Yeah, that's literally is. I was watching the Bulls game, and it's like, why is I get it. I know, I guess all the big guys can shoot threes now. All the 7-footers can shoot threes. And I get it. Okay, that's another skill in your tool belt to use. I get that. But you should not be at the perimeter every single play. You should be on the paint, making sure you get your 10 to 15 rebounds and you dominate there. And you can eat very well and score so many points and average a double-double if you just do the simple things. Play defense, box out, get your rebounds, put the ball right back in the basket, get them into foul trouble. It's not hard. It's fundamental basketball, and that has gone away because, like you said, I'm gonna shoot. Steph Curry killed the game. As good as a great player as he's gonna be Hall of Famer. That's great, but he changed the game by his ability to shoot the three from 50 feet with consistency. Now everyone wants to be Steph Curry. Believe me, I see it all the time at work. These kids think they can all be Steph Curry and shoot from half court.
You know what? I literally, like, as you're talking, I'm thinking about, oh my God, what if they made layups 3 points and the 3-point line was 2 points? Like, flip
like an
the
NBA
script.
Jam? Yeah, NBA
Like,
Jam used to do that.
Flip the script, and if you shoot a three, like from behind the 3-point line, guess what? That's now worth 2 points. And we're gonna make the mid game to underneath the basket worth 3 points.
Yeah, if it's in the paint, if you have to have both feet in the paint, you know, mid, you know, from the foul line into the end line, that section right there, that's 3 points. So I mean, you got to play physical.
You know what I mean? Because
I would love
that. I just remember watching Michael Jordan so much, get the ball tossed down to him, not in the paint, but you know what I mean, like
the elbow.
lower, like, you know, I mean, what, maybe second or third spot on like the foul, like where the guys stand. You got the first, second, third line where the guys line up. Like, he would get the ball tossed down to him, like between the second and third line, and he would back guys in, and then he would do the fadeaway jumper, like the turnaround fadeaway jumper all the time.
And it was effective because he can turn either way and drive to the hole and dunk it on you. And if you're playing him for that, then if you step back, great. I'll take this fadeaway, and that's going to be 80%, you know, shot that I'm going to make because he was that good. That game has gone away. It's boring, right? And we saw what it can do when we had DeMar and he had his mid game in his first year. He had like an MVP season with us. Yeah, because it's a high percentage shot. You don't need 3-pointers. I mean, you do, but you can't just rely on them. You look at the teams that rely on a 3-point shot where they're shooting 50 a game now. If you look at the early 90s, even the late 90s, teams were shooting maybe 12 threes a game.
Look, all I know is I was looking at the box score the other night, and the score was like 152 to 158 or something ridiculous. And I was like, did that game go into overtime? Because if that wasn't an overtime score, if that was a standard score, in 4 quarters, that's freaking asinine.
It went to overtime, but they
Like,
are
I
giving up
remember in the
120 in
90s,
regularly. Yes.
I remember in the 90s, if you broke 100 points, like, that was an amazing offensive, productive game. Like,
This is
most of
due
your
to the
games were like
three-pointer.
86 to 95,
Yeah, but
92.
because of the three-pointers, that's changed the game. So if you get a team that gets hot one night, or both teams get hot and they're from the 3-point line and it's just falling, that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get 150 to 149. Now, when the Bulls can't shoot a three, they get blown out by 40. That's the NBA right now. There's no dominance of. I mean, I know OKC has lost 3 out of their 5 losses have been to San Antonio in a week. They played them 3 times in a week, and those are the 3 losses. Other than that, they were 26-2. So they're dominating through the NBA, and you don't hear about SGA or whoever else is on the team because I can't even name the rest of the guys. I mean, I can picture them, but I can't know. I don't know their name off the top of my head because I focus on Chicago. But yeah, that's the NBA right now. So it's not a good product to watch right now. I'm not enjoying. I don't even enjoy the All-Star weekend. I think it's full of crap as well.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I mean,
let's go ahead. No, go finish. Finish your thought.
no, the overall, you know, as the commissioner of the NBA, I don't know how you can fix it because, you know, like I said, unless you flip it where like, hey, look, we want to get more like lower zone scoring like going again. Like, so again, unless you make like a specific section of the court, like, hey, we're going to make this a 3-point as well if you score from here, you know, or, you know, again, and you don't want to do that because then it gets gimmicky like the Globetrotters or, you know, some other whatever. But it's one of those where, you know what excited me when I watched basketball? Like Dennis Rodman fighting for rebounds, like the steals, the block shots, that stuff excited me. You know what doesn't excite me?
Yeah.
Running down a court and chucking up a ball and then 40% of them go in. But
Yeah,
based on statistics, that 40% because you shot them behind the line is better than taking the other 60% within the line.
Yeah. It's analytics has kind of also ruined the game where now you're looking at, just plain numbers and not filling out the game. So yeah, it's a bad. I'm not even gonna watch. I'm gonna watch football and I'm gonna watch Raw right after this. But Blackhawks, Connor Dard seen skating in practice. Good sign. I don't think he'll be back anytime soon. But they really need his spark.
Keep him out a little longer, you know.
You could definitely keep him out a little longer because
let's make sure it's fully healed. You know, I know we won. Was it tonight or last night? I thought I saw something pop up on my phone. 4-2.
Well, we won 4-3 against the Stars in no overtime. We had a shootout. But yesterday the Penguins put a beating on us 7-3.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Well,
it was bad.
I mean, you know, we talked about the Blackhawks earlier in the season, and we said, you know, look, it's still a very young team. We're trying to put a team together around Bedard. And with his injury and with the injury to is it Nazar?
It is Nazar.
Mm-hmm. You know, as we've said, you know, listen, if we can get a better draft pick, put 1 or 2 more guys, you know, 1 more of those drafts in the top 5 pick or top 10 pick, put 1 or 2 more talented players on this team, you know, that'll maybe put us, you know, in that conversation again where, you know, playoffs and beyond are a opportunity for us. As of right now, you know, we started off very hot in the beginning of the season. We've kind of cooled off again.
We're the worst team in the NHL now. We're the worst team in it. We're tied with the Jets for the worst team in the NHL because I'm looking at just the points. because that what ends up being the deciding factor. How many points do you have, right? And we have 34. We're tied with the Jets. The Canucks beat us by 1. They're 33. My bad. We're the second worst team. We're not the worst. And then on the Eastern Conference, the Blue Jackets have 38. So
I was gonna say I'm looking was it? Oh,
we're looking for
more. Sorry, I had to expand. I was looking. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, yeah, I didn't see the Canucks. It had cut off at the Kraken. The Flames and the Canucks are okay. But looks like Canucks are 15. We're 14 wins. Eastern Conference. Yeah, no, we're worse in the league. It looks like
we're second. Someone has 33 points and we have 34.
But I'm looking at games won. Like we have 14 wins. Canucks have 15. So I'm not looking at points. I'm looking at wins. So
I mean, which one do they take in consideration?
I think it goes on wins. Then it goes to points. If you're tied on wins, then it goes to points.
Well,
you know what? That would be a great question for our hockey consultant who doesn't seem to be on very much anymore.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you're listening,
it's not. He's not. He's over crying and playing Fortnite. But yeah, the Blackhawks again. We knew that this team was not going to be a competitive team, but at the same time, this is not what we expected to be at the bottom of the barrel. We wanted to see some growth, but we do have some injuries on the offensive and defensive side that's going to stunt your growth. But the last thing we want to do is waste Bedard's youth and him being on a cheaper contract while trying to get more players either to be signed or through the draft or whatever it is to complement and supplement this team to be a winning product. So the Blackhawks don't play until New Year's Day. They will play the Stars, and that's a 7:30 game. Oh, sorry, they play tomorrow. They play the Islanders tomorrow, and then they play New Year's. So they have a couple games there. But again, go out, watch a hockey game. They're fun to watch. Doesn't matter where you sit at the UC for a hockey game. It's a great time, and you can see everything. So go ahead and check them out. I'm pretty sure since the boys are out, that the tickets might be a little cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, look, once Bedard comes back and Nazar comes back, I think we'll move up in the standings a little bit. Because as we discussed when we were looking up, all the information of in the way of stats and everything else, you basically saw that like Bedard was the guy. Without Bedard, like the statistics are not good. I'm actually looking it up right now. So this season, games played 19, assists 25, points 44. So, and if I remember correctly, like when we looked it up the last time, Bedard having 44 points, like the next closest guy was at like 19, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So it's one of those with having Bedard out, it's absolutely crushing us right now. So I can understand why we're last in the standings. But at the same time, we'll take that top 5 pick again. Or if, I forget, I think the NHL finally went to a lottery system for, kind of like the NBA where, you're not guaranteed that top 5 pick anymore. But, again, if we could get a top 5 pick, put some more talent around Bedard and Nazar, I'm all for it because, again, that just helps build your team for the long term because, as we have stated in the past, hockey, their salary cap is extremely rough. And Bedard is coming up on a contract negotiation. So we need to keep those younger salary controlled, just like baseball, salary controlled players, to keep that salary cap down and then build with some very talented vets around those guys. Yeah. Kind of like what we did with, Kane and Taze for all those years. young guys on controlled contracts while you put, Keith and oh my God, why can't I not think of his name?
Jalmerson, Bufflin, Sharp.
Bufflin was the guy. I always loved Bufflin because he would go stand in front of the net and just screen the goalie so the goalie can't see what's going on. And I mean, dude, that guy took some hits from, but yeah. We were talking about last week. Look, I'll be the first guy to be the pansy to put a cage on his face, in the NHL. Like if I'm gonna go stand like Bufflin used to in front of the net, I'm putting a cage on my face. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that reinforced.
I know.
Oh man.
Like I'm not saying like you should get hit, below the shoulders, because I mean that's where the goalie net is, it's a little lower than, chest, but at the same time, like some of those pucks go awry or they get deflected and next thing you know, it's hitting you in the face. So yeah, like I said, I know it's not the cool thing to wear a cage on your face, especially in the NHL. It's a badge of honor to have your teeth knocked out and whatever. No, I'm good. I like my teeth, I don't have the prettiest smile, but I'd like to keep it.
I like to continue to chew. Yep. On the baseball side, just quick notes. The Cubs made a move finally. Free agent reliever Hunter Harvey is in agreement with the Cubs on a 1-year contract. The deal guarantees Harvey $6 million. He's 31, but he's been plagued with injuries throughout his career, including 2025 when he appeared in just 12 games for the KC Royals. So again, if he's healthy, he's a good flamethrower, good fastball. He, 201 strikeouts in 185 innings. Originally drafted by the Orioles, he's a first rounder in 2013. He's played with Baltimore, Washington, Kansas City before signing with the Cubs. So they've signed Phil Maton, Hobie Minor, Jacob Webb, and now Hunter Harvey. So they've been looking at bullpen arms and exclusively bullpen arms. So not splashy. Maybe it's just one of those undercover moves that the Cubs continue to do to bolster themselves and be able to have arms going down the stretch. And you're also going to get some players back from Tommy John and whatever else injuries. Steele is coming back and Horton's coming back. So they have some starters that will be back. It's just they knew that they had to address the bullpen, which we've been saying for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I've been watching is the Tatsuya Imai situation. I believe it's Friday at 5:00 has to make a decision, otherwise he goes back to Japan. And it's one of those where it's like, okay, like from everything that's out there is like nobody's really offered him like a big contract.
No, so they're not going to. They're not going to because again, there's that transition period that you're coming from a different league and a different country. You don't. I mean, not everybody's
did
Ohtani.
Shota have a transition period? Shota came here and pretty much did pretty well right from the beginning.
Shota and Suzuki are the only two guys I can remember because. Somebody said Shota. I'm sorry, I'm talking about Ohtani. You thought Shota had a good transition right away?
Shota for the Cubs, I thought had a very good beginning. He's fallen off in recent, but when he first got here, I mean, he was pretty dominant for the Cubs. Well, I shouldn't say dominant, but for someone that came over, had a very good season that year.
Right, but everyone's expecting you guys or anybody that signs these.
LA, who's the pitcher for LA Dodgers? The kid that just went and won them the championship because he came over with Shota, but he got paid like triple what Shota did. But I mean, he had a transition period. Yamamoto,
right?
So,
he started. Yeah. He had struggled and then was on the DL for IL for a little bit and then came back as a reliever and he was lights out as a reliever. So again.
Yeah, no, Yamamoto when he first came over, I felt definitely struggled where Shota was doing very well to begin with, and now it's like the complete opposite. Like Yamamoto is becoming dominant, where Shota has kind of fallen off a little bit, especially in the home run aspect, where Shota has given up more home runs as of recent, where he did not his first year.
Yeah.
I mean, that said, I mean, we talk about, the Cubs bullpen, that we need another starter. We don't necessarily know where Justin Steele is in his comeback. Could we use one more arm? Could Amai be that guy? I'm willing to give it a chance if nobody else is offering him a big contract. If the Cubs can offer him the best contract and he takes it, I mean, I don't know that I'd be against it. Even if it's kind of like Shota, where, it was like a 3-year deal with opt-outs, and, because I mean, we basically cut Shota. We then offered him a qualifying offer sheet and he took it.
Right.
But I mean, we essentially let him go, only for him to decide to opt back in. So even if we do something like that with Amai, and like I said, I would like to have one more starting arm that, like I said, if we don't know what Justin Steele is going to look like coming back, if he's going to be 100%, or if he's not going to come back till, say maybe July or August, depending on his recovery, then, I personally say, like, hey, we need to get another guy in here. Because looking at the Cubs roster, yes, we don't know what's going on with Tucker, because Tucker still hasn't signed, as far as I know, hasn't blown up my phone. So it's one of those where, the Cubs offense is almost identical what it was last year, minus Tucker. And like I said, the pitching is still a concern to me.
Well, they addressed, they put 4 new arms, so that's addressing it finally. Are they spectacular names? No. Also, they're not spending money. They're not going to spend money. Looking at pitchers that are available: Jordan Montgomery, 33. You're looking at Nick Martinez, 35. Chris Bassett, 36. Going to be 37. Lucas Giolito, 31. Framber Valdez, which is the big name right now, 32. And then it's a huge drop off after that. Frankie Montas, Matt Scherzer, Justin Verlander. If you want to get a plug that could be cheap, because I know Justin Verlander is still getting paid by 4 different teams, so you can probably
that might be interesting to put a plug like that in, hoping that Steele will come back by like I said, July, August. I might do that. That would be an interesting concept.
Again, you don't have to pitch Verlander every game. Every 5th day. You can give him an extra rest, or put him on the IL for a little bit. Let him go golf for a little bit, and then have him bring him back when you need him against a big series. Or
that's the other thing is, like, I think Shota, like, we've just, with Steele getting hurt last year and everything else, I think like we use Shota more than we probably should have. So like again, having an extra arm that can take a 6th game or a 5th game in the rotation, and give like Shota an extra day's rest here and there. I would love that, because again, I think in the 2 or 3 years that we've had Shota, like, we've put a lot of innings on his arm, because he's kind of been our workhorse. And yes, he was out injured last year for a little while. So who knows if that was something with Shota, where he kind of had nagging things all season, and that's why there was a fall off with him last year. But yeah, no, as a Cubs fan, again, I always say, pitching, and then, you can put a mediocre team around a pitcher, but when it comes to playoffs, we all know that, it comes down to pitching.
It does. On the White Sox side, nothing to mention besides that there is some smoke on trading I'm reading this as I'm talking. Sorry for
Yeah,
trading
it's
for
bringing back a player, right?
trading Luis Robert Jr. It looks like the Mets are getting frustrated with the asking price. Um, and it was supposed to be there was a Cincinnati also balked at the trying to get Luis Robert Jr. It looks like they made a move that pretty much they're not going to look at it for right now. Um, I don't know what the package holdup is, but I'm guessing that they want the White Sox to pay most of the $20 million that he's going to be due this year. I know the Mets have money, just like the Dodgers, but that's a problem. Other news: there's smoke of the White Sox being interested in Yoan Moncada. Absolutely fucking not. No, God no. They're like, oh, he had a bounce back year. He batted 234 in 84 games. He had thumb issues and knee issues last year. No, 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 no. Do not sign Yoan Moncada. Bring up anybody from the minor league. Hell, you got the number 1 pick that you're going to be bringing up. He can play short and third. Bring that kid up. All right.
Well, not even that. Murakami was a third baseman. Like you just signed him, so why?
But we have Miguel Vargas. He plays a serviceable third. Colson can play third. Yomer Sanchez can play third. You have multiple options. I don't know who's putting this bullshit report out there, but it's been reported by multiple websites, and they're like, "Oh, the Pirates might be interested in him too." The Pirates are the Pirates. They just need bodies. You think they want to pay somebody $15 million for 84 games? No, they're not that dumb. Well, maybe they are. But I think I'm good, JC. Are you good?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the good thing about your White Sox is, especially with getting the number 1 pick, your future is looking up.
This looks so good.
You know, way more than I hate to say it as a Cubs fan, but I'm a little jealous of, how your guys played last year with such a low salary, that they put as many wins together as they did. There looks like some very good young talent for your team. Meanwhile, like I said, you look at the Cubs and it's like, where are we at? What is happening here? As we've talked about in the off seasons before, during and around the draft, time, it's like the Cubs constantly draft outfielders and position players, and it's like you go look at like their top 30 prospects, and it's like there might be 2 arms on that list, and it's like, what are we doing? Like, can we draft some arms? Like, I understand like they might be reaches and everything else, but it's like I think we still need to draft some arms, though.
Yeah, and they haven't been known for developing pitchers, where the White Sox have been known for having a good eye for drafting and developing pitchers. They just end up trading them because they're like the first.
Yeah,
the top 2 pitcher.
How many did you sign in the Rule 5 draft or whatever?
Yeah, like
you got,
four,
3
four
pitchers out of that, didn't you?
Yeah, 3 pitchers out of that, right? And we had 2 that we signed in the Rule 5 draft last year, and we turned them around, and they had a great season for us. So the White Sox are really good about grabbing a reclamation project as far as for pitchers and fixing them. They did that with Colson Montgomery. Look at that. They sent him to the Arizona Fall League location and fixed his swing, and he came back and he was better than ever. So whatever the White Sox are doing, they are not the White Sox of old. They're taking care of business. I think I sent it to Ivan though. One of the White Sox employees, I guess they posted it. They were taking batting practice against the virtual machine that puts an image of the pitcher that you want to hit against, and it throws the specific spin rate and ball arsenal of that pitcher. So if you're facing Shohei Ohtani, it'll throw, have that image, and it'll spit out, a ball of his spin rate exactly based on all the numbers. So the White Sox got that machine that the Blue Jays had it just installed underneath the batting underneath the field in Toronto. The White Sox just got that. That's going to be huge. So instead of looking at an iPad, you can go behind the dugout and go take some swings against the pitcher you're going to see today. That's going to be huge.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's one of those where I can understand, like, if you have a pitching machine that can do it, but I guess, like, if you're using like video from past games of that pitcher pitching, like his throwing motion, all
It's
that
just
stuff.
it's just the image of that pitcher and his throwing motion, but the arms, the slot is just gonna. It's the pitcher machine. It's gonna throw the exactly spin rate and whatever pitch it is. So if you want to go against Dylan Cease's curveball, it's gonna continue to throw that as like what you program it. It's fair game, man. It's all analytics. All analytics.
Yeah, I guess, if we're gonna give something like that to the batters, then I say give the spider attack back to the pitchers.
I'm down with it.
Like, it's an advantage, right? Like, hey, I get to go against a pitching machine like 300 at bats or 300 swings, and like basically know where your ball's going to end up. Which, pitchers, let's be honest, you can copy my spin rate, you can copy everything else, but pitchers can put a little on, take a little off.
Yep.
Like the release point, higher, lower. Their stretch when they go into their pitch, every little minute thing changes the location of where the pitch will actually end up. You can mimic that to a standpoint, but there's always, like, where a machine is going to be like down to the exact science. Pitchers are not like things are always off, and I guess I'll leave it at that, is that, like, you can mimic it to the best of your ability, but like pitchers will just figure out a way to change it. Like I said,
Change the timing, change the grip,
Right.
change this. That's all they do that throughout the entire season too, because once there's film on you, you've got to continuously change and then make them adjust against you. So good pitchers make the adjustments, good hitters make the adjustments, and that's what keeps you at the top 1% of the top 1%. All right, JC, it might be time to go eat some dinner, watch some wrestling, watch some football.
I was gonna say, there's not much going on in wrestling right now.
Oh, just the Austin Theory thing. And I don't want to get into it today until I watch. We'll talk about it next week. Yeah, but I want to enjoy the rest of my week off. I go back on the 5th, and it's gangbusters from that point on, because I go back to coaching bowling as well. Even though, like, I have past 2 weeks I went back to my league, the adult league, and I've been killing it with the 190s. It's gonna suck because I'm gonna be gone for a month again. I get the practice.
I guess we could talk about one little topic before we go.
Yeah, what is it?
I'm your champion, boy.
I didn't even move my roster around, bro.
I know. Yeah. So any of the listeners out there, it was Big Z versus me in the championship for our fantasy football league. We had discussed off air last week that we would go ahead. Neither of our teams, we felt very comfortable that, I'm missing some guys such as Devontae Adams and some, Sam Laporta and some of those guys. So neither of us felt very comfortable with our team. So to be fair, we were both just like, you know what, we'll do an even split. We're good with it, but bragging rights to the actual champion.
I knew I should have just
JC Dynasty.
Oh, I'm not even mad about it. I'm not even mad because I'm getting money anyway. So I'm not mad at all.
No, yeah.
My bragging rights is that everyone still mocks me. Oh, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. Well, who was in the championship? This guy. The guy who didn't know what he was doing. Who drafted all these players that like, oh, who's that guy? Oh, you're reaching, bro. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. You took Manungai very. It was what, 4th round that you took Manungai in the Dynasty League. But people definitely were like, "Oh, he's going to be behind Swift and Roshan and da 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 da." And look, I liked the tape of Manungai coming out of college, but again, I thought Roshan would be way more involved than he has been. And
We
I don't
got
know
like
that.
4
I
carries.
mean, I don't know Roshan what his contract is, but I mean,
Done
I
after
don't
this
know
year.
that he'll be on. I don't know he'll be on the team next year.
I don't think he'll be in football. All right,
I
let's
mean,
close it out.
he's had a lot of head injuries, so yeah, he might be out.
Yeah, he might be out. Atlanta is just walloping and gashing the I was gonna say the Clippers, the Rams, 21-3, and Robinson just ran for like 40 yards right now. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, the
thank you,
Rams
Atlanta.
he threw a pick six at one point. So
Thank you, Atlanta. Thank you, Atlanta. Is making us. I mean, as long as we stay in the number 2 seed, I'll be happy because we can't get the number 1 seed no more. All right, JC, let's get out of here. Let's get some dinners, watch some wrestling. Maybe this football game's gonna go to the sticks. It's gonna be bad. You can watch a Bulls game, I guess, if you like. What's the score now?
nah, I'm good.
Oh no, don't
I
watch
mean,
the Bulls game.
we probably should watch a Bulls game so we could talk about it, but
I watched the recaps. I watched the recaps. I mean, I think I watched 2 Bulls games completely this week.
I mean,
But again,
realistically,
they're
like
down.
when we come on next week, like we should be discussing like who can we trade these guys to? What can we get back in return? Like, because that's all I want to talk about is like who can we move Kobe White to, and what can we get in return? That's it. That's all I want to talk about because like there's nothing else to talk about with the Bulls.
Well, we definitely have some homework to do then, JC. But first, we'll let you guys know where we're going to be for the live event this Sunday, and I'll post that on all of our socials. But again, this has been great. Thank you, JC, for joining. Ivan, who had technical difficulties due to his dog. Hopefully that dog is still alive. Thank you, everybody, for showing up this past weekend at Casa Humilde. All those new listeners, all those winners of the raffle. Thank you, JC, for those cool shirts that you made. Thank you to our listeners, new and old. Thank you for sticking with us through 280 episodes here. We're way over 300 something, especially with the live events. But thank you to our sponsor, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and you can check us out on social media, True Chicago Sports Fans. And then, you got a topic you want to talk about or something you want to argue with us about, TrueChicagoSports@gmail.com. For JC, I am Big Z, and we'll see you next time, which will be this Sunday at a live event. We'll let you know. And then next week on Monday for episode 281. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.